Hello and welcome back to High Fell. A little while since I've actually done a video, but back again. And as you can see, as always, I've been playing with making everything sparkly on the layout, and we've been adding some more lighting. Got some different coaches and bits and pieces, and also, hopefully you can see, I've got a little brake van here as well, which is illuminated. It's got its own tail light, and it's got a nice warm glowing light inside. These are the 50-foot Staniers, which have just recently come out from Hornby. This is a full brake, and again, that's just got some lighting on the inside. And I'm sitting too close. There we go. And that's how you can turn those off. So we're using the magic wand. I showed you how I made that a few videos ago. And again, same idea on the brake van as well. So these are easy to turn on and off. Now, these are actually illuminated slightly differently. I should get some lights on here. I illuminate the room. So the system that I've used on the Mark 1 coaches is just too bulky to fit inside the lights of the brake van. And also it wasn't really going to provide me with a light for the tail. So that strip lighting works really well for the, say the Mark 1s, and I'm sure it'll work well on all the other coaches as well. I was after something different, and I was looking on the website of Fabric and found these wonderful little self-contained lighting units, and they really are fantastic and an absolute game changer for putting lights in things like this as well. So it's a single LED. It has what's called a surface mounted latching switch and a single 3-volt battery. It's a good quality battery, it comes with it. So it'll give you about 40 hours of continual use. So obviously if you've got your lights on and off, you're going to get even longer. Easy to replace, very inexpensive for the battery as well. But the best bit has to be the cost. So in the system that I was using in the Mark 1s, the latching reed switches work out around about £2.40, £2.50 or so, just for the reed switch alone, and then you've got the other bits. I mean, it all comes under £4 in total per coach if you're making a batch of them. But these work out at about £2.50. That's incredible, and it's so simple to fit. All you need to do is pop some black tack on the back of the battery holder, pop it on the roof, job's done. So no soldering. Right, let's dig in. Let's have a look at the brake van, because I've done something a little bit different here. First of all, if you're going to be taking the brake van apart, you will find there's 2 screws diagonally across here. These can be incredibly tight, and the screw heads are so easy to round out. On one of these, I ended up drilling it just with a pin vise to get that out, and then you can separate the chassis from the body. The floor itself is not glued in because it's held in via the screws. You just pop that out. You'll see in a moment why that's just sticking on there for a minute, because it has a little bit of black tack there. For those that are never going to dig into a brake van, that's what you have got. We've even moulded a brake wheel on there as well. That's what really does blow me away, the level of detail. I'm sure some of the designers must just have a bit of fun thinking, oh, we'll just put something in there that most people are never going to see. So the transparent sections, they're the ones that hold the screws, and they also form the duckets, and that's how they're able to get the little tiny windows on there, because this surface is painted. Now you notice there was a little bit of light bleed. I've still got some experiments to do with these and a couple of other little ideas to play around. So I think I might be also putting some extra paint on the inside just to seal off the edges and the joints on the back here. Also, this is a Westhill Wagonworks 3D printed tail lamp, so it's not really intended to be illuminated. What I've done is drilled it out again using a pin vise, and that's quite a mission because the material is very brittle, so I did shatter a few of those, but I managed to get this one. In fact, I think I did break this one, but I actually glued it back together with the lighting piece inside, and what that is a fibre optic filament. Now this is available really easily. I can get it on eBay. It works out, again, pennies for meter lengths. You can get various different widths. So I'll show you a bigger piece because that's just easy to see. This is a 1mm. There are all sorts of little tricks you can do. So if you have the light coming out of the end, which is how I've set it up for the brake van, in fact I can illuminate that now and then you can see it. You'll notice it doesn't light up the filament itself, the light just travels down. If you scuff up the sides of an LED filament, light will bleed through here. Also, if you put a kink in it, so if you actually put a bend in, the light will escape through there. Basically, it's just going to refract through. So if you remember your O-level physics, that's what's going on there. So to attach it on, I found the easiest way. It looks a little bit Heath Robinson to say this is an early prototype of this. I thought I'd share it with you if anybody else fancies having a go. So the LED illuminates and the end of the filament is glued to the LED itself, and then that holds it in place. It's just a little dab of super glue. And then I've also put a couple of little bits of tape round, and that's just purely to try and diffuse some of the light. So I didn't want it overly bright on the inside. I have got a plan in hand to replace this 3D printed lamp from West Hill Wagon Works, just try and find something that's going to work a little bit better for illuminating. These are brilliant for popping on for detailing the backs and fronts of stock, but if you're wanting to illuminate, it's not really great to be drilling through. And you see that sometimes they do come a bit broken as well. Okay, so it's just held in place with some black tack. Couldn't be easier. If you want to take it out, it's dead simple. All I've done is drilled through the back board here, through the next wall of the cabin, fed the fibre optic filament through. That's actually glued to the LED of the lighting unit, and the other part is glued into there. And there you go. And really easy to reassemble. If you get this on the right way around, that is. Pop that in. Floor on. Chassis on. Clicked in place. I'm not even going to bother with the screws on this because I'm hardly sort of handling these at all anyway. So probably the hardest job of fitting the lights into the coach is actually getting the body off the coach. So I'm going to show you where they are. It's a little bit difficult because you haven't got this running board down here, so it's a little bit harder to access the edge, and it's very tight together. A thumbnail. If you can let your thumbnail grow, that's probably the best tool for doing this. And what you're looking to do is, if I just show you, when I've got the top off, you'll see where they are. But you've got a little tab here, one in the centre, and then one here, and that's repeated on both sides. And they engage into some slots in the glazing units. So what you're looking to do is get your thumbnail in. When you do it for the first time, I'll hold that in the camera, it's a little bit harder. But as I've been on and off a few times, it does get a little bit easier, but do be really careful. Don't press on the detail here so that you don't snap that off. And what you don't want to do is end up breaking the little tabs off here. They have got a little tooth on there. So where we are, one here, two in the center, just underneath this section here, and two to the side. And so you know what you're looking for. They engage in these little slots, which are in the glazing section here, and then you've got two more at each end, and that's repeated. So pretty much all of the Hornby coaches seem to be coming with three areas where the coach body attaches to the chassis. That's two at each end and two in the center section, and that seems to be the preferred method. And I must admit, I do like them doing their coaches like this now, as opposed to the way that they used to be with the roofs that came off and a screw through the center and all that kind of malarkey. If you're never going to take the top off your Stanier full brake, that's what you've got in there. So you get a little bit of a shot. You can rest assured that you have actually got a little tiny brake wheel in there. And then to fit the lighting, well, this really is the simplest job ever. You don't need to be able to solder. All you need to do is make sure you put the battery in the right way. So LEDs are polarity sensitive. It needs to be positive. The positive terminal of the battery sits up here. And so that's the one that's quite smooth, and then the one that's got the little ring around where the two parts are separated, that's the negative, and that's the one that's going to go next towards the circuit board. When you popped your battery in, check, make sure you have it around, make sure it's working. There we go. small piece of black tack. You could use blue tack, you could use a double-sided tape, anything you like. I'm going to pop these in the centre because I'm going to assume that the guys would be sitting around in the centre near where the brake wheel is, and that then that will distribute the light through quite evenly. And then when you pop that on, just click it in. I tend to do it from the pivot points of the bogies because I think that's where it's going to be the strongest, and click it on. Just make sure it's taken away. This way it clips in place all along there, and that's it. And that is it done. So if you want the quickest and easiest lighting solution I've found, then and probably the cheapest as well, then Tram Fabrique. I pay for all of my goods. I don't have any associations with anybody or anything like that. I just find that if I get good service or find good products, I'll always recommend people, because they're the people that are supporting the hobby, and we need to be supporting them as well. Now, this is the most recent purchase for me. It's just been released, and that is the 57-foot third brake. And you can see you've got passenger compartments here, and we've got the brake area here, the goods area here. Now, I'm not really thinking of illuminating this goods section here, and but I do want to get some lighting into this bit. The single, I don't want to put 4 of those little tiny lights in there. I think that's just a bit of overkill. But what I'm planning on doing is having a little bit of an experiment to see about having the lighting unit over here, and then by using 4 strands of fibre optic, is bring in and drop a light source at the top of these. I'm going to give that a little bit of a go, see how that works, show you how I've gotten with that at a later stage. But I thought I'd just show you inside as well for anybody that's never going to open their Stanier. That's what they look like. You could also paint the interiors, particularly if you've got tables in. I always think that's quite a nice thing to do. And then of course populate them, put some people in, because if you put lights in, you've got to really put people in as well. So dead easy job. I'll put some links to the places where I got all the bits and pieces from, and in the description. Please share, because I know this will work with a whole wide range of different scales, not just TT. Do subscribe. Thank you very much to the hundreds of people who subscribed. I'm really quite surprised that so many people find it interesting, but there we are. I'd just like to share, and just really to say, keep safe and happy modelling.